You have done, Coleman, unconsciously or consciously, something so revolutionary. I'm going to get emotional talking about this. I think about Selma, your relationship with David Oyelowo. If Bill Street could talk, you you have been so vulnerable with black men on screen. We're not used to seeing that. The
I know.
power, the power of that. And and it's been a trajectory. You have done it throughout all of your films. And and in this film, you take it to the max. We see two men, whether straight or gay, being kind to each other, being tender to each other. That is so revolutionary for us to see two men, in particular, two black men, being kind to each other.
I know. I know it's a quiet act of revolution. I'm going to try to answer this. Why? I remember I was directing a children's play, and two actors. One was helping another get across a river. Two black men, and then one reached out to the one and held his hand, and I was struck by that image. And I said, "Oh no, hold longer." And I just hold it longer and hold his other hand and bring him to you. And I realized I'd never really seen images like that, because I think the images that are always shown to us are just the opposite. That we're violent to each other, that we're not caring, that we're not feeling. And I know it to be different. I have such loving relationships with the men in my life, straight, gay, or other. We holding each other, touching each other, and I want more of that. I know that heals families, and each it does. I think when we as men know that we can actually have all of our feelings, we can change a lot. And so it's like we've been told for a long time that we have to be all these things, we have to exist in these spaces, and they actually don't even make sense. And if we sit with it, we know it doesn't make sense to us. It keeps us from being completely human and completely. I know, ultimately, I know I'm starting to drill down what I know that I'm trying to be in this career that I've chosen. And I want it to be in all of my work. And I do see it in all of my work. I want to be love. And I want to share love. And I want to inspire people to love.
Um, I mentioned that one of the things that it has become a signature of you is your willingness to be so exposed, your vulnerability. In this film, in Sing Sing, is beyond. You're so raw. You're so vulnerable in it. How? What happened? What happened in this film?
I think it all started, I think I have to link it back to Passing Strange. When I did Passing Strange, there was an artist before I did Passing Strange, and an artist after, because I auditioned for Passing Strange. My mother died the next day, and then I get offered the role. The show was about a boy who loses his mother and goes on this journey of an artist and healing, and I played sort of the inspiration to the guy. I became a different person, a different artist, a bit even more raw and vulnerable, because the only person I was answering to and trying to do a good job for was her. It's not about the critics. It's not about these other things. It really isn't, actually. I'm trying to be a good man that my mother would be proud of and be in service to people. That's basically it. And so I knew I became a bit more of a raw performer. And now in these spaces, I feel like I don't have a right to just hold back anything. I don't, people know I don't hold back what I feel or what I say or my opinion on how we're doing it. How are we advocating? I'm always the first person to complain when there's no heaters on, when actors are cold outside. That's how I became a producer in television because I'm like, who's caring about that? I'll care about it. I have a big mouth. I'll do it. You know what I mean? So for me, it's about putting myself on the line in every single way as an artist. I mean, if I'm going to have an impact, if I'm going to do this work that I think is meaningful and that really can change lives, I think a film like Sing Sing is really changing lives. It's actually doing work. So I have to give everything. So like I have to give everything. It feels like it's not even a choice. It's like if I'm going to stand firm in what I believe in the films that I make and the way I build them and the people that I partner with, it's got to be pure and true. This life is too short, man, isn't it? And it's like you got to think about these rooms. You got to think about, and I really do mean this. And I tell people that, I tell directors this, I want to love the people I'm going to work with. No, I really want to love you. And I want you to love me because I think that we can really make some changes that way.
Tell me about
I love you, man. Let me get him a tissue. Get a tissue out here, please. Happy Valentine's Day to all of us.
in your film. You call each other. Two men call each other beloved.
Yes. Yes, we do. And
The power of that.
I'll tell you why. My co-star Clarence, yes, Clarence Macklin, who's turning in, it's a star turn, and he said to me on a Zoom meeting when we were talking about his time on the inside, and I was being colloquial at some point. I probably was using, as a term of endearment, the N word. And he said, "Oh man, we don't call people that on the inside." I was like, "What do you call 'em?" He said, "We call each other beloved." And when I tell you, you could have knocked me off my chair. And Clarence is like this dude, like a dude, rough, tough around the way. You could tell he's seen some things and done some things. And the idea of one man calling another beloved, I thought was extraordinary. And and so I told my director, I said, we've got to use this word. We got to figure out how when it's impactful to use it. And so he places it 3 times in the film. And I think just that, even that, when we call each other, we look at each other and say, I have a practice of telling, especially my fellow man, "Hey, beautiful king, how you doing?" Because we want to just offer some words if we can offer words of tenderness and grace to each other, I think that's that little bit of grace that we need throughout the day. Because I know that's what existed in these programs, like at Sing Sing. In a maximum security prison, you have men inside holding a safe space to create and process and do some real rehabilitation, have a sense of play with theater and calling one another beloved. And it has nothing to do with sexuality at all. It's just holding a space of tenderness for one another. I think that's revolutionary. And that's the one thing I hope people call each other beloved from now on. You know?
Wow.
Try it. Try it tonight.
So what's next? I know you have plethora of projects.
My God, I was looking at all this work. I'm like, I'm tired. I've been working a lot. But I have a lot more. I do. I go back
We played Nat King Cole.
Yes. Well, that's what really killed me. I was like, who played Nat King Cole? I'm going to play Nat King Cole. You know, I have a film. I have two things. I have a musical version of a stage musical that stars Dule Hill that's opening at New York Theater Workshop in New York this spring.
Fantastic.
And I've written a biopic as well that I'm also directing and I'm producing
Sammy
and I
Davis
co-wrote,
Jr.
and I'm playing Nat myself in that on the film version. And I also have a film that will star Sydney Sweeney and David Johnson, and an unrequited love story about Kim Novak and Sammy Davis Jr. that I'm directing. And I also have a series coming out called The Four Seasons with Tina Fey and Steve Carell, and
Based on the Alan Alda.
based on the Alan Alda Carol Burnett film in the 1980s, right? Yeah, that'll be out in the spring. And I'm also going back to Euphoria and shooting that. And then I'm also doing a film with Mr. Steven Spielberg again.
Wow. Amazing.
So, as you can tell, I'm incredibly lazy.
Yeah.